Okay, Teacher Think here, and topic for today is what do you do when you've gotten that call from the teacher and the teacher says that little Johnny or little Sally has done something wrong, and either you need to talk to him or there's going to be something like a detention or some other punishment from school. So how do we approach that? I'd like to talk a little bit about how I approach it as a teacher because I think it's informative to how a parent can approach it. And my thoughts changed on this over the years. Let me describe how. What would be the normal thing for us to do would be to take the child outside the classroom, talk to him there, come to some sort of conclusion, and then have him sit down. And really withdrew from that because I think it's not very fair to the child. First of all, it's a very, very emotional experience when they've been caught out on something that they've done wrong. And they should be treated fairly, and they should feel like they have been treated fairly. And I think it's a mistake to do it in a way that everybody knows someone's being talked to, etc. Also, standing next to the child is not a great idea because you're not on the same level. So with me, I'm around, somewhere between 6'2" and 6'3". There's a big height difference between me and fifth graders, which is what I usually taught. But I taught a range of classes, but there's a big height difference, and there's an intimidation factor there that doesn't need to exist. So what I would do, if possible, and I think this really works for anybody, is try to engage in some sort of activity. So the top two would be something with a ball or taking a walk. So if you can get a position where you're throwing a baseball or a football, that movement really helps, especially with boys. It helps them think and it helps keep them relaxed. I think it's true with girls as well. They may want to do some other kind of activity. Not something complicated where you have to talk it through, but something that they know how to do, but that can make the time pass a little faster. And also, really important, something that will keep you and the child from staring at each other during this experience, because you don't want to be maintaining eye contact for too long. Staring is, as you may know, a primate threat. Doing this is a natural threat. People feel threatened by that. The mouth open, the eyes wide. So people don't usually do the mouth open part, but when you're looking at someone like this and saying, "Look at me," it's very threatening. They say that if you do that, I think it comes, I don't know if it comes from chimpanzees or bonobos or what, but if you do that to somebody on the subway for 30 seconds, they'll attack you. That's what I've heard. True or not, I don't know. But you don't want to have too much eye contact. They ought to be able to look away, think, come back to it. Taking a walk is another great thing. I would walk around the recess area with them. That way they don't have to look straight at you. That way they're moving, and that way they feel like they have time to think. Failing that, it's at least just be on the same level. So be sitting down someplace and talking to them. I got more and more into the idea of how you're the child's lawyer as well as the child's judge. So we would be told at the beginning of every year that you're a child's refuge and advocate, and that's true. But sometimes you also have to be the judge. So it's tough to be the prosecuting and defending attorney and the judge. But you've got to manage to work all those things in. So what you have to do is, and again, just keep in mind that these are my thoughts. Every child is different, and I'm not trying to put out rules that work absolutely for everybody, but there are things to think about. It's really important to let the child talk and have his say. And that comes over the course of the conversation. The first thing that you really need to do is explain what the situation is. Just say that it has to do with lying or something. I think it's not a great idea to say, "Do you have anything to tell me about today?" That's too wide open. That's like, that feels a little bit more like the KGB than anything else to me. Tell them exactly what you're talking about, whatever it is, with as much information as you can give. I think people have a right to that. and then ask them about it and let them talk first and let them talk for as long as they want. And then what you should do is reword what they've said and say it back to them and say, is this what you really meant? I found that to be a crucial step that I didn't really know about early on as a teacher. It's crucial because the child in that stressful situation is going to mess his words up. He's going to mess up the chronology, all sorts of things. He's not going to express himself as well as he would like. He probably won't anyway, depending on the age. But even right up through high school, people don't always just express themselves in their putting themselves in their best light the first time through. I mean, adults can't. That's why we have lawyers. They take what the information is and they think about it and they present it in the best way possible. So I think it's important to take it all in and say, well, I think what you're saying is this, and then put it out and do a good job in making the case for them and say, is this what you really want? Is this what you really want to say? And if they might give you clarification on it, which is fine. That's what this whole stage is about, is getting the clarification. At that point, take a break, come back, say, have you thought of anything else that you want to say? And anything else you want to add? Because it's inevitable that after a conversation like that, they'll say to themselves, I wish I should have said that, or I forgot about this, or something. And they need a few minutes to think that over, so come back. And then, depending on the situation, it may well be well delineated what's going to happen if, something like this happens again or anything, but you may want to take another break and come back with what the punishment is. If the teacher's called and they said they're getting a detention, then you don't really have to do that, but you can say that's what the punishment's going to be. And, and that's what the teacher said, and you're going to follow through on it. I would be extremely hesitant towards saying, well, maybe we need to talk to the teacher and see if that's really the right punishment, because that can really be really damaging. If you want to do that, do it in secret. Don't let the child know that you're doing that. And you probably shouldn't try to get something changed. It's just a mistake in many ways. If the kid starts crying at any time, let him go. Say, go off, wash your face, take a drink. Come back when you're ready to just have a normal, when you feel better about having a good conversation. It's embarrassing to cry. They've definitely reached an emotional point where they can't really think anymore. And it's only fair to let them take a break at that point. And that's basically pretty much it. That's all I would really want to say. You're stating the case. You're asking for clarification. You're putting it in the best way possible for them, so you really understand. You're making sure that they know that you've heard them. What else can I add to this? I feel like there was something else I wanted to say. If there's a punishment, make sure you follow through with it. It's not a great idea to say, well, since you told me the truth, we'll just let it go. Maybe the first time, but if that's a pattern, then they'll kind of start feeling like there's one freebie, so you just have to obviously use your judgment on that. But it's a very good idea to follow through. And if the teachers ask for a detention, then you should do it as quickly as you can. It's really not a good idea to say, well, I can't pick them up until next week, because at that point it's too far down the line. That's a bad idea. It's almost, the punishment won't even be connected with the crime at that point. So that's not a great idea. And God forbid if something else happens in between, then you've kind of got this backlog of stuff going on, and it's a problem. And it's more likely if they've got something hanging over their head, that they will do something else wrong. So that's a definite no-no. And also, usually when the school is giving a detention, it's not just to punish the child. It is to let you know that there's something going wrong. So you may want to add to it, depending on what the situation is at home. But I would take it seriously, and I wouldn't say, okay, that's the punishment, and that's it. So say when you pick them up from detention, it's not a good idea to console them and say, well, what a hard day for you. Let's go to McDonald's and make you feel better. Just go back into regular, normal life. Boom, like it never happened. But it's not a good idea to kind of make them feel better about it, honestly. You don't have to make them feel any worse about it. But there shouldn't be a sense that like kind of you've sort of paid your debts to society and that's it. Because they need to, it's supposed to be a learning experience where they go forward doing the right thing after that. So you can forget about it in the sense that you go back to normal life. But I wouldn't reward it with a trip to the movies or you don't have to do homework tonight. I've seen people do that before. Oh, because we're getting home so late. No. Bad idea. Anyway, yeah, so trying to see if I've forgotten anything. I really haven't, but I was sort of desperate for some media, so I found this. If there's one thing to remember, I think this is it. Get a ball and play with the ball. With a boy, definitely it works every time. It's a way to get a conversation started, and it's a great way to have a disciplinary conversation too. This, I'm not sure if I go for this because if that ball goes way off, it's a little too interactive and you get off topic. This lady's doing it pretty well. She's on the same level. The kid's listening. She might be a little too close. I don't know. For a teacher, you'd focus in on this and say, "Don't touch the children," which is right. You shouldn't do that. This, okay, I think you can see what I'm going to say. Don't point. Pointing's bad. She's not exactly staring, though, so good for her. This one, you're probably going to get some of this kind of reaction. And what can you really say about it? I'm not sure what the smirk is about, but, it's not a good idea to kind of laugh at them and be like, that cuts close to the bone if they're being mocked a little bit for what they've done. But, you can improve on the sitting part, but it's better than standing. This, you can see where things are going wrong. This is one of the things that can happen with sitting. I mean, he's looking off. He's got an opportunity to just stare off in the distance. If you're throwing a ball, you have to maintain that attention toward the other person. And yeah, the finger pointing, the lecturing, don't lecture. Nobody likes being lectured. Arguing, if it breaks down to arguing, you need to take a break. Everybody does. This is what's going on in his mind, even if he's not physically doing this. That just, things are breaking down. Take a break, calm down, come back, think of another way to go about it. Here's another one like that. I mean, look at the anger in that kid's face. This, well, it seems like she's pleading to me. Begging won't help you get a child to do what you want. Begging isn't really good. Palms up, I'm not sure exactly what she's saying other than like, I don't know what else to say to you. I give up, which is not a good message. But look at her face. Well, if you're begging, I'm in charge here, ma'am, and I don't have to do anything. You can beg as much as you want. I mean, I'm reading a lot into that picture, obviously. So, anyway, I hope that was good food for thought, and we will see you next time.